about the principles of it, that the principles of this in Parliament. And before you answer that, I would actually posit another for which book you would stand up for, but on the principles of it, Kamal, do you think the time has come now to organize yourselves as a community?
I'm very grateful that they stood up for me, but he had a point there. Probably it's the profile, the podium that I was standing on, and the kind of scandal or sensation that it created. But that should not be the case. We were just discussing in the room that we shall not wait for it to happen to me, like the knock on the door kind of thing. And we should make it a personal right to voice whenever it happens, to whoever it happens. Because sensibility doesn't go by Chaturvarna, not by parochial borders. Sensibility is sensibility. It does not reside in the middle class bastion alone. Sensibility can come from anywhere. That's how you get an Ambedkar. Sensibility can come from any quarter of this country, and we should watch out for it and celebrate. They have been very kind to me, and in this case, but this is not the first time. Like we've been, when you see that we don't carry notes, we've been rehearsing thanks to the oppressors that we know our lines very well, and it's including the Hindu-Muslim riot. If you take 1892 Bhiwandi riots and see the scenario, it's repeated. The dialogues are not changed. The screenplay is not changed. It's the same drama that's happening again. Like he said, it's engineered, and that's why it's so boring. It's not spontaneous. All these moments. See, Kamal Hasan is an individual. But what I liked about this thing is you had a collective, conscious voice that came about. I'm just a guinea pig. I'm not going to take this valorous stand and call myself whatever I am. I'm strong enough. I withstood. No, I had no other go. I had a wall behind me, so the only way I could move was forward. And all this rhetoric is fine when we're talking about censor board, and now it's become a certification board. Why are they represented by political parties? Every political party insists on having a person in the certification board. And none of them, very few of them are qualified in the aesthetics of cinema. So I think I'll talk about where thank you. I'll come from where I understand it best. I'll not go into the legislation part of it. He knows better, but I've been working on this, and I think that the one, like in the television industry, it should be self-disciplinary. There shouldn't be a body, like I said, looking over my shoulder. This is what I dream of. I can't even recommend it because it may not happen. And well, I can't wait because time is not on anybody's side.
In fact, Jay, how would you respond to what Mahesh said? This idea that not one slice of taste in India, you're right that politicians only respond to that, but how can we move away from that, in fact?
Let me give you three answers.
We have disagreed even with Mahesh when he said that we are just entertainers. If you also abdicate what your position in a society is, then why should we protect your position in that society? I agree you're entertainers, but I also feel that you should be the crucible of certain values, and however you present it in whatever aesthetic, low, high, middle, market-oriented, surely it should still be the crucible of some values. What would you say about that, Rahul?
Yeah, before he goes and about the middle class sense, it's very confusing in a caste-ridden country to talk in terms of class. It's a very British attitude to bring in a class thing into an Indian society. It's caste-ridden. So rightly, as you said, the middle class doesn't indulge in a casteless society. They stick to it. So while they can, and in it's only wealth and prosperity that will increase the middle class without casteism. Everyone graduates to a class in life, irrespective of their varna. So as it exists, the middle class is castrated. So I think the basic problem, like all the forefathers have been complaining and shouting about, is the caste system. Everyone will agree that we'll have to dispense off with it.
No, but just security of our children. In fact, we are scared of too much of freedom. So, you know, to imagine that the middle class is going to become the defenders of freedom is a long shot, you know.
No, I don't agree too, because that's Pavlov's theory at work. You ring the bell and feed, and every time you ring the bell, you're hungry.
Take 30 seconds. Yeah. You know, forget about the middle class. China has nearly 500,000 small, medium, and big protests and disruptions every year. They have a huge machinery. It's the only country in the world that has a larger internal enforcement police mechanism than it has an army to fight external enemies. That kind of repression can lead to a comfort situation, but I don't think we can compare Indian or any other situation with that.
Rahul, to come back to you on this, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm going to answer your question in 30 seconds. I just want to say, Jay, that's a pretty complicated question you put to us. The idea of the middle class giving you hope for how to take this country forward. You're going to have a lot of reactions from now and for many days after this. I just want to say that a parent who believes in thrift, believes in giving his or her children a great education, and believes in hard work, can still vote in a right-wing dictator. So I think it's complicated. Second, I think that the idea that the middle class does not, is now happy to move out of the status quo and start challenging certain questions, as in coming out in protest, 500,000 people outside the Prime Minister's residence, might happen very occasionally, but it's not going to happen in a way that will determine and shape our freedoms. I agree with Shoma on that. It is in their best interest to have the freedoms that they need, their mothers and daughters have to be safe, etc. But I don't think they're concerned about what's happening in other parts of the country. Those people's movements never appear in front of the Prime Minister's residence, so they don't have the same efficacy as this particular one did, not to undermine it by any point. But Shoma, to get to your question about artists. Everywhere in the world, artists provoke, incite, questions are raised by a film you see, by a piece of dance you look at, and that starts a debate. There is outrage, there are people who start talking, but all of that, Shoma, can only happen in a society where first that piece is allowed to be displayed, where first that piece is allowed to be put up. To fight for that piece is a fight that all artists quietly walked away from, I would say about 15 or 20 years ago. And it was done in a very silent kind of, look, I'm an artist, I'm busy sculpting, please don't disturb me kind of way. But that very sculptor today has just narrowed, you see that his work has become narrower and narrower and safer and safer. So I completely agree with you. I don't think it will take much for us to band together, because deep down, really none of us is motivated by money. Me, of course, is definitely, but I can say across the board, because this space is shrinking for even mainstream thinkers in the artistic community. The time is going to come, but I just feel that we shouldn't be pushed to a wall to get together. I think this debate and this idea of being a solid, the first I believe in the vanguard of any kind of movement should be the artists. They're the ones, if it need be, take the blow, because they're the ones who will finally change things in terms of new thought.
Yeah.
You know, Shoma, you got me wrong. I did not say that filmmakers should merely restrict themselves to the wisdom which our predecessors handed out to us, that we should not deal with contentious issues. I said when we have dealt with contentious issues, we have put our hands in our own pockets,